Welcome once again to Forced Perspective, the indie review show where, I don't know, I review indie games? Today we'll be taking a look at Freedom Planet, the game that somehow makes Sonic Team look even worse by comparison. Seriously though, get your shit together. This thing's a giant space battery. Everyone wants it, especially this guy. He and about 5 other people steal it. You go into space, blow up a spaceship, and then it turns into a mini galaxy or something. That's decently accurate. So, the game. It's a fast-paced 2D action platformer in the style of old Sonic games. Actually, that's not entirely true. While it does have quite a few Sonic elements, it's far more combat-focused. And although I would like to use that as a segue to talk about the combat, I can't really discuss much of anything before I talk about the different playable characters. So, first you have Lilac the Dragon, and I'm not even going to complain about that, because if this gets to be a hedgehog, and this gets to be an echidna, then, this gets to be a dragon, why not? Anyways, Lilac is the most speed-focused of the 3. She has a basic slash, a double jump that rapidly damages enemies that you come in contact with, and uses up some of your special bar. Yeah, by the way, you have a basic health bar and special bar? Really should have mentioned that earlier. Anyway, she also has an upward slash, a dive kick, whatever the hell this thing is. I think it's just the basic slash with a different animation, but it could one-shot everything for all I know. Either way, good luck trying to find a situation to use it in. And finally, she has her special, a dash that propels you forward or diagonally, damages enemies you go through, and makes you invulnerable for its duration. Next, you have Carol the Wildcat, more of a brawler character. She has once again a basic slash, a Sonic-style ball that damages enemies, a more powerful slash, a small lunge that is all but entirely useless, the ability to wall jump, and her special is a rapid kick that deals damage to enemies as you would expect and makes you invulnerable for the duration. Kind of a theme for specials. And that's the extent of her abilities until you pick up one of these and get her motorcycle. Then you have a double jump very similar to Lilac's, the ability to ride up pretty much any wall, and a small dash that damages enemies. Finally, you have Mila the dog, I guess. They never flat out tell you in the story, but with my brilliant deductive reasoning, and the fact that she says this when she finishes a level,
I'm a super dog!
I was able to put the pieces together. I guess I'd classify her as a defensive character. You have to exploit enemies' attacks more often than you just attack them yourself. Anyway, she has about half the health of the other two, can create a shield that deflects most projectiles, and does damage when released, can create a block after a small charge-up that can be thrown at enemies, or be used with the shield to make a larger shield that creates a large beam that damages enemies and slightly pushes you back when you release it, and can also do what I can only describe as a Yoshi jump. And, while I would like to say that I can now talk about whatever I want, I still have to address the way movement works. There's a lot to talk about. The only reason I bring up the movement at all, opposed to saying it's like Sonic, is because it's a lot less strict in terms of momentum. In early Sonic games, the starting speed was always a little bit too slow for me, but in this, I would be fine if I was constantly at the base speed. But at the same time, you still have a sense of momentum. You do gain speed, it's just that your top speed isn't that much faster than your base, and honestly, I kinda like that better. And while still on the subject of movement, each character has a different method of traversing the level vertically. Carol has wall jumping, Mila's jump can get you pretty much anywhere you need to go, and Lilac uses her special, which could be annoying because you need a full special bar to do it, and so if you use your double jump, you just have to wait there like an idiot. But still, it's the most interesting method by far. Now, finally, I can start talking about the meat of the game, after 4 minutes of boring cursory information. I really know how to get my hooks in people. Anyways, now I get to finally talk about the combat, which I've been trying to talk about since the beginning, but everything got in the way, cause it's a stupid piece of So, what I can say about the basic combat, and by that I mean anything not boss related, besides that it works like you would expect, is that you're only damaged by enemies if they attack you. If they're not actively attacking you, you could just run past them, no problem. And that's true for bosses too, but when it comes to boss fights, there's more interesting things to talk about, so just ignore that. So, the bosses. Master segues. They're like old school boss battles. You have to learn their patterns and proceed from there, whether they're a starship or a dickhead panda. I hate you. Oh so very much. This guy's pure evil, but you're just a prick. Yeah, anyways, the bosses, they bring back an old school vibe, which I like, and with a few exceptions, they're pretty difficult. I died quite a few times before I could figure most of them out, and that's true even after I learned their patterns. With a different character, you still have to learn how to best attack them with the other character's moveset, which is nice because I thought after I learned the patterns, every other playthrough was just going to be trivial. And in terms of combat, that's really all I can say without treating you like you've never played a video game before. But while I'm still on the subject of bosses, I would like to say that this faux slowdown, while cute at the beginning, gets a little annoying. And although I get it, old games had slowdown when a lot of things were happening on the screen. And I appreciated this, and the purely cosmetic continue screens as little nods at first. But after I fought this boss for the third time, I was done. I didn't need it anymore. Now I think it's time to talk about the level design. It's quite good. There's multiple paths to take, secrets scattered around, and it makes it so each character will come across different challenges but still be able to complete the level just the same. And it's designed in most areas so you can gain and maintain that speed. You gotta go fast after all, because that never got old. So the level design doesn't disappoint, and they have a unique level for each character, bringing the total number of levels to 14, which may not seem like a lot, but the game does warrant multiple playthroughs, especially if you do your first playthrough as Carol like I did. It makes you miss some interesting story elements, which would be fine, but they don't give you anything substantial in return. So as a friendly piece of advice, if you do plan on only doing one playthrough, do it as Lilac. And speaking of the story, the animations are pretty good. How does that relate to the story? It doesn't. I just couldn't think of a segue. But anyways, yeah, the animations and voice acting are both worthy of praise, and then there's the music. Ah, beautiful. In fact, I enjoy the sound design in general. Everything sounds good, and then there's this. It's something so small, it's basically nothing, but at the same time, I love it so much. Do you know how many times in games, especially Super Meat Boy, that being damaged by a spike from the side has taken me out of it? It's more times than any normal human being should ever be affected by something so inconsequential, but it happens, and this game fixed it, so I'm happy. Oh yeah, also there are power-ups. I forgot to mention that. I couldn't really find a place. They shield you and do other things. I don't know, shut up. Oh wait, no, there's another thing. I used a controller for this, because I almost always do for platformers, but it has fully rebindable keys for both keyboard and controllers, so that's nice. And it's also the last thing I wanted to mention, so... Cliff Notes! Oh, I already said it. Crap. Freedom Planet is an action platformer in a 16-bit style and heavily inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, but with more of a combat focus. There are 3 playable characters, each with a unique playstyle. The level design and movement are both executed very well and play off one another as they should. The combat is fast and fluid, and although your movesets are somewhat limited, finding a way to use what is at your disposal during the boss fights is challenging, even after you've learned their patterns. There are many nods at the 16-bit era, including pointless continue screens and an artificial slowdown during certain boss fights. Overall, I have to say that this game did everything it strived to do and did it well. I cannot find much of anything to complain about. If you enjoy games from the 16-bit era like Sonic, are a speedrunner, miss the old style of boss fights, or just enjoy platformers in general, Freedom Planet is worth a look. Hey, thanks for watching. Click over here to watch the last review I did. And if you don't, I mean, that's an option, I guess. You play as a silent female protagonist, making her way through a science facility, solving puzzles using advanced technology you find within said facility, all while being watched by a constantly lying female overseer. Wait a minute. I think this has happened before.